Hi, I am Cager on Two Wheels, and today we're going to talk about my last video. So, on the last video you saw me pulling off a wheelie and doing small wheelie practice. Well, why? Why would I want to do that? That's a hooligan thing, that's not my thing. Well, it's very simple. First off, I always had the mindset of improving. And if I don't know how to do something that other people know how to, I get frustrated and I must learn. That's why I'm always trying to lean the bike more and more. That's why I'm trying to get my knee down, and that's why I have been trying to wheelie and stoppie. Stoppies are okay, I can do them. Wheelies not so much, and so now I learned. That's reason number one. Reason number two is, and what are you doing? Okay, fair enough. And reason number two is because sometimes when I'm test driving machines, especially more powerful machines, I'm usually scared stiff that I'll pull off a wheelie and then I don't know how to react. I don't know how to land. I don't know how hard it is going to... Was that guy vaping on a motorcycle? I don't know how hard it is going to go. The fuck? Okay, that's a whole new level of stupid. Wow. Yeah, so I'm on a big bike and I throttle up and it lifts up the front wheel and I don't know how to react, what to do and what is going to happen next, and that is bad. That scares me, and being scared on a bike is a big no-no. So I have to learn, I have to understand how it works so that I know, so it's not unexpected. So that's smart, that's real smart. Just open the fucking door. Just jump into the road, why don't you? So I have to know how it reacts, what's the feeling, how far can I go, blah blah blah. Therefore, learning how to wheelie on my own machine, not on a test drive machine, hopefully. So that when the stuff like on the XSR happens, I'm not scared anymore and I know roughly what's going to happen. That's why when I got that accidental wheelie on the XSR, I just roll with it and let it off the ground and then let it naturally come down, because I had been practicing on this one and that was a wheelie about as high as I was usually doing on this one, like this high, a foot off the ground, not even that. It was just, the wheel was just off the ground, and then when I landed it skidded a bit to get up to speed and no issues. So since I was kinda used to that, it was exhilarating instead of scary. So that's the whole point. It's not so that I'm not, it is so that I am not scared on the bikes. It is so that I'm not scared of throttling up on bikes if the rear wheel lifts, and that I know what's going to happen, so it is not an unexpected event. Just, oh cool, the wheel's up, and then okay, let's just land this thing and I'm cool with it, which is working. But I still need a lot of practice, because for example the MT-07 has this awful tendency when you try to do a 0 to 60 kph run on it to really lift the front wheel really high. So I need to learn how to do that, so I know how to learn to control it, and so I learn how to avoid it, or at least if it comes up, leave it up and do whatever I want with it. And man, that sounded awful. And yeah, that's about it. That's why I'm practicing wheelies, so I know how to. Information is ammunition. So the more I know about biking, the safer I'll be, even if I'm doing what is basically illegal. In fact, now slightly going off topic here, I do believe these things should be taught on the riding schools and on driving schools too. Not how to wheelie a car, duh, but at least in Portugal, teaching how to drive and ride in Portugal is not that bad. Okay, the theory behind it is good. Practice not so much. I was lucky where I took my riding lessons, because a guy taught me everything he should. Taught me how to ride in the wet, taught me how to ride properly, taught me how to turn, how to brake, how to emergency brake, everything. Okay, so that was a proper course and I'm really happy with that. Honestly, that was awesome. Some people just get the bike keys and the instructor tells them, yeah, go for a ride, I'll meet you here in an hour, and that's it. So that's stupid. You got these two ends, professional schools and not so much. Car riding is somewhat the same. Standards do differ wildly, but the theory is okay. The way it's taught, it's okay. You get people teach you how to ride. You go pass a test, which is not quite that demanding, but that's the point. More on that later. But yeah, it works. However, what I think should be done, one, tests every X amount of years for all drivers, so people get a refresher course on the rules and they remember that this is not a racetrack, me included. And that was a bit my fault. And this is the part I wanted to talk to you about, learning how to ride and drive when the shit hits the fan. Let's say they go into a skid pad, not for drifting, although that is also a good skill to learn, but let's say you put the instructee doing a heavy load turn, meaning the car is completely loaded onto the outside suspension, meaning you're turning close to the maximum the car can do with the tires beginning to squeal or with the tires actually squealing, and then halfway through the turn there's water on the ground. Why? So you learn how the car feels, you learn the difference of grip between wet and dry, so you learn when you're turning how fast things can go downhill and how utterly unrecoverable they can be. It's always a shocker. Remember when you were driving the first times and the car suddenly skid out under you and you couldn't do anything? You're like a passenger, like, what the fuck do I do now? What the fuck? Ah! And then suddenly everything went okay because the car gripped again. Well, that's a skill that should be taught, because there are still things you can do, not much. There are still things you can do, and it should be skidding. Should be understeer, so you know how helpless you are on understeer and exactly what you can do to try and recover, and oversteer, which is easier to recover but scares passengers shitless. Okay, but even recovering, you get to know just how far you went off course, and if you had a sidewalk, how hard you would hit it. That kind of stuff, that's important. It's not just riding and driving under the best conditions. You have to learn how to drive under the worst conditions. And honestly, learning what is taught in an advanced driving course, extreme leaning off the bike, proper emergency brakes, a bit of stunting, a bit of stoppies, a bit of wheelies, so you know what to expect. So that when once you brake like a maniac and the rear wheel lifts, you don't suddenly lift off the brakes because you're scared and then you're going to end up in the car in front. You know how to dose the brakes to keep the rear in check but still braking. Stuff like that. That should be taught. Okay, I know it's more expensive, it would be a bigger expense, but it would make the roads a lot safer. And the mandatory X amount of time checks, that would be great. What the fudge is this guy doing? Oh, he saw me, yeah. He was just trying to change lanes with no indicator and he saw me. Okay, fair enough. No, he's again in the middle of the road. The fuck, man? Choose a lane. Jeez. Yeah. So that's my bit of theory crafting, my two pet projects. I'd like to see everyone having to do a driving test, like the first one with an evaluator on the side, say every 5 years or so. Okay, it has to be cheaper than the original one, because the original, at least here, it's very expensive. 100 euros is 1/5 of the more than a fifth of the minimum wage, so that's a lot of money, and some people with minimum wage need cars to get to work, so that wouldn't work quite like that, especially considering you're driving your own car there and driving around with the instructor on your own car, so that should just basically cover the instructor's hourly fee, so it should be like half that every 5 years or so. Yeah, that's one of the pet projects. The other one is people need to know how to react. They need to learn how to react to the unexpected, because you see a lot of, and you can see this on YouTube, on a lot of crashes, people just react all wrong. Oh my god, my rear is skidding, let's slam on the anchors, and then they skid straight off the road and into a tree or onto the oncoming lane. And that just happens with a frightening regularity, because people don't know, okay, front wheel drive car, my car, rear skids, throttle, and everything will be okay. No, let's just slam on the brakes and just go sliding straight off the roads. Yeah, so that's kind of the things. Okay, yeah, I went rambling for way too far, probably nearly 20 minutes of this. Very sorry, and so that's it. Gauge her out.